Chapter 18. The Yoga of Liberation by Renunciation. Arjuna said, Great Armed One, I wish to know the truth of renunciation and of relinquishment. Inaksha, individually, slayer of Kishan. The Blessed Lord said, The renouncing of desired actions the sages knows as renunciation. Relinquishment of the fruit of all action, the clear-sighted say, is relinquishment. Some thinkers say that action is to be relinquished as wrong, and others that actions by sacrifice, charity, and austerity is not to be thus relinquished. Here my conclusion in this matter of relinquishment, Basparata. For relinquishment, tiger spirit is described as the threefold. Action by sacrifice, charity, and austerity is not to be relinquished. That sacrifice, charity, and austerity are the purifiers of the thinkers, but those actions are to be done, relinquishing attachments and the fruits. This product is definitely my final opinion. For renunciation of required action is not proper. The confused relinquished of this is declared dark. Whoever relinquishes action which is troublesome out of fear of physical suffering, doing emotional relinquishment, would not attain the fruit of that relinquishment. Action which is to be done is done in a disciplined way. Arjuna, relinquishing attachment and the fruit, this relinquishment is thought of as good. Filled with goodness, intelligence, doubt eliminated, the relinquisher does not hate disagreeable action, nor is attached to the agreeable. For embodied beings cannot relinquish actions entirely. But whoever is a relinquisher of the fruit of action, this one is thus a relinquisher. Triple is the fruit of action for the dying relinquisher, unwanted, wanted, and mixed. But for the renouncers there is none whatsoever. Great Armed One, learn from me these 5 factors. Proclaim in Sankhya doctrine for success in all actions. The basis, also the actor, and the instrument of various kinds, and many separate movements, and the divine as the 5th. Whatever action a person undertakes with body, speech, and mind, whether right or wrong, these are its 5 factors. But in this reality, whoever sees the soul as the only actor, out of incomplete understanding, this fool does not see the one whose condition is not egotistical, whose intuition is not affected. Even though killing these people, this one does not kill and is not bound. Knowledge, the known, and the knower are the threefold actions, incentives. The instrument, the action, and the actor are the threefold constituents of action. Knowledge, action, and the actor are said to be threefold, determined by the qualities in the qualities doctrine. Hear about this also. Learn that good knowledge by which one sees in all creatures one imperishable essence, undivided in the divided, but the knowledge which regards as separate the different beings of various kinds in all creatures. Learn that knowledge is emotional, but that which is attached to one thing to be done, or as if it were all without reason, without true purpose, and insignificance, is said to be dark. Action which is controlled, free of attachment, done without liking or disliking, wishing to obtain no fruit, that is called good. But action which is done, wishing to obtain desire with self-interest, are again with much effort, that is said to be emotional. Action which is undertaken out of confusion, disregarding the consequences, loss, harm, and capability, that is called dark. Liberated from attachment, not egotistically accompanied by courage and resolution, unperturbed in success or failure. The actor is also good. Passionate, wishing to obtain the fruit of action, greedy, violent nature, impure, accomplished by joy and sorrow. The actor is proclaimed to be emotional. Undisciplined, vulgar, stubborn, deceitful, dishonest, lazy, depressed, and procrastinating. The actor is called dark. Here the distinctions of the intuition and the will, according to the threefold qualities, explained completely and distinctly. Wealth winner. Intuition which knows action and withdrawal, what is to be done and what is not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared. Bondage and liberation. This parata is good. Intuition which distinguishes incorrectly right and wrong, what is to be done and what is not to be done. This parata is emotional. Intuition which thinks wrong is right, covered by darkness and perverted in every aim. Thus, this parata is dark. The will by which one holds steady the mind, breath, and sense functions with unbroken union. This parata is good. But the will by which one holds to duty, desire, and wealth with firmness, Arjuna, with attachment to desired fruits, this partha is emotional. The will by which the stupid does not abandon sleep, fear, sorrow, depression, and pride, this parata is dark. But now hear from me, Parata Bull, the threefold happiness one enjoys through practice, and which one comes to the end of suffering, that which in the beginning is like poison, but in maturity resembles nectar. That happiness is declared good, both from the clarity of soul intuition, that which in the beginning, from contact between sense objects and sense resembles nectar, but in the maturity is like poison. This happiness is considered emotional. And happiness which is in the beginning and in concept, and in consequences is confusing for the soul, arises from sleep, laziness, and negligence. That is said to be dark. There is nothing, either on earth or even in the heavens among the gods, no being which can be freed by these three qualities born of nature. The actions of the priests, rulers, merchants, and servants, full scorcher, are disturbed by the qualities arising from their nature. Calmness, control, austerity, purity, patience, and sincerity, knowledge, discernment, and piety are priestly actions born of their essence. Valor, vigor, courage, skill in battle, and also not fleeting, charity and leadership are the actions born of the ruler essence. Cultivating, cowherding, and trades are the actions born of the merchant's essence. Service-type action is born of the service as essence. Satisfied in one's own repeated action, a person attains success. How one's content in one's own actions finds perfections, here's that. By worshipping with one's own actions, that for him whom is the origin of all creatures, by whom all this is pervaded, a human finds perfection. Better one's own duty of less quality than another duty's well done, Performing actions ordained by one's own essence, one does not incur guilt. One should not relinquish inborn action, karma, even though deficient, for all undertakings are veiled with deficiency, like fire with smoke. Unattuned intuition everywhere, soul conquered, longing disappeared, actionless perfection, one goes by renunciation to the Supreme. Learn from me briefly, Garuda, how having attained perfection, one also attains God, which is the highest state of knowledge, united with cleansed intuition, controlling the self with will, and relinquishing, starting with sound sense objects, and rejecting passion and hatred, living isolated, eating light, controlling speech, body, and mind, constantly intent on union meditation, relying on detachment, releasing ego, force, pride, desire, anger, possessiveness, unselfish, peaceful, one is fit for oneness with God. Becoming God, soul sense, one does not grieve nor desire. The same among all creatures, one attains supreme devotion to me. By devotion to me, one understands who and what I am in truth. Then knowing me in truth, one enters immediately, performing all actions, always trusting in me. One attains, by my grace, that imperishable, eternal home, surrendering consciously all actions in me, intent on me, consciously be conscious of me, relying on intuitive union. Conscious of me, you will transcend all difficulties through my grace. But even if through egotism, you will not listen, you will perish. If reliant on egotism, you think, I will not fight. Vain is this resolve. Your nature will control you. Bound by your own essential karma, Kayuta, what you do not wish to do out of confusion, you will perform that even against your will. The Lord stands in the heart region of all creatures, Arjuna, causing to move all creatures mounted mechanically by magic. Go to that shelter with your whole essence, Bharata. From that grace you will attain supreme peace, and thus end the eternal state. This knowledge, more secret than the secret, has been explained to you by me. Reflecting on this completely, do whatever you wish. Hear from me again the most sacred, supreme word. You are surely loved by me. Therefore, I speak for your benefit. Become mentally me, devoted to me, sacrificing to me, revere me, and you will come to me truly. I promise you, you are my beloved. Up all duties, take shelter in me alone. I shall liberate you from all evils. Do not grieve. This is not to be told by you to one who neglects austerity, not to one who neglects devotion, not to one who does not want to listen, not to one who speaks ill of me. Whoever shall explain this supreme secret to my devotees, performing the highest devotion to me, will come to me without doubt. Among humanity is pleasing me more than this one, and no other is more beloved by me on earth. And whoever shall study this sacred dialogue of us two, by this one with this knowledge sacrifice, I may be loved, such is my thought. Also, whoever may hear with faith and not scoffing, this person, also liberated, should attain the happy worlds of pure actions. Have this been heard by you, Bharata, with one pointed thought? as it destroyed your ignorant delusion, wealth winner. Arjuna said, delusion is lost, recognition gained through your grace by me, unchanging one. I stand with doubt dispelled. I shall do your word. Sanjara said, thus from Vansdeva and Parata, the great soul, I heard this marvelous dialogue, caused my hair to stand on end. Through the grace of Vayana, I heard this sacred supreme yoga from the Lord of Yoga, Krishna, speaking himself before my eyes. O King, remembering again and again this marvelous and holy dialogue of Krishna and Arjuna, I rejoiced over and over, and remember again and again that most marvelous form of Hari. My amusement is great, King, and I rejoiced again and again. My thought is that whatever is the Lord of Yoga, Krishna, and whoever is Parata, the archer, there is splendor, victory, well-being, and eternal wisdom. According to the search results, this chapter is called The Yoga of Liberation by Renunciation. In this chapter, Krishna summarizes the gifts of the Gita and gives the most confidential knowledge about the path of salvation to Arjuna. He explains the difference between renunciation of actions and renunciation of desires, and how both are essential for attaining perfection. In this chapter, there are 78 verses. The main points of the chapter are: Arjuna asks Krishna to clarify the meaning and difference between samyasa and triaga. He wants to know which one is better for spiritual progress. Krishna replies that sannyasa means giving up actions motivated by desire, and triga means giving up attachments to the fruits of actions. He says that both are conducive to liberation. But triga is superior to sannyasa. He says that one should never renounce one's prescribed duties, but perform them with detachment and dedication to God. Krishna says there are 3 types of triya according to the modes of nature: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. He said that sattvic type is giving up attachments to the fruit of actions while performing them as a matter of duty. He says the rajasic type is giving up actions out of fear or difficulty. He says that tamasic triaga is giving up actions out of ignorance or delusion. Krishna says there are 5 factors that contribute to every action: the body, the doer, the senses, the effort, and the interdependence of God. He says that one who sees oneself as the sole agent of one's actions is ignorant and bound by karma. He says that one who sees God as the supreme controller and enjoyer of all actions is enlightened and free from karma. Krishna says there are different kinds of knowledge, action, and doer according to the modes of nature. He says that sattvic knowledge, one sees undivided reality in all beings. Rajasic knowledge sees many separate realities in all things. Tamasic knowledge sees one distorted reality in all beings. He says that sattvic action is being performed with detachment and duty. Rajasic action is performed with attachment and desire. Tamasic action is performed with negligence and harm. He says that sattvic doer is free from egotism and attachment. Rajasic doer is full of passion and pride. Tamasic doer is dull and lazy. Krishna says there are three kinds of intellect, determination, and happiness, according to the modes of nature. He says that Sattvic intellect discerns between right and wrong, real and unreal, bondage and liberation. Rajasic intellect confuses between right and wrong, real and unreal, bondage and liberation. Tamasic intellect mistakes this wrong for right, unreal for real, bondage for liberation. He says that sattvic determination is focused on God, self-realization and purity. Rajasic determination is focusing on worldly gain, enjoyment, and power. Tamasic determination is focused on sleep, fear, and grief. He says that sattvic happiness is experienced after overcoming the initial pain. Rajasic happiness is experienced at first, but ends in pain. Tamasic happiness is experienced in ignorance and delusion. Krishna describes the quality of those who obtain perfection in spirituality and reach Brahman, or the absolute truth. He says that they are endowed with purity, wisdom, renunciation, self-control, devotion, etc. He says that they see God as their own self in all beings, and all beings in God. He says they are totally free from detachment, duality, hatred, fear, and anger. Krishna declares that bhakti, or loving devotion to him, is the highest means of attaining him. He says by his grace, one can know him as he is, as the Supreme Person, who pervades everything. He says that he dwells in the hearts of all beings as a witness and guide. He says that one should surrender to him completely with mind, body, and soul. Krishna reminds Arjuna of his duty as a warrior and urges him to fight in the war without hesitation or doubt. He says that by doing his duty with devotion to him, he will attain success in this life and the next. Krishna concludes by revealing to Arjuna the most confidential knowledge of the Gita. He says that one should abandon all varieties of religion and simply surrender to him. He says he will deliver one from all sins and grant one's eternal peace and bliss. He says that this is the essence of the Gita and should be shared only with the faithful and not with the unfaithful.